Welcome to Talking with Sapna. Today we're talking balancing roles to alleviate some of that parenting guilt. I got asked recently, how do you balance your role as a parent and needing to become the teacher? And it's interesting because in these unprecedented times, there are so many roles that we're playing. And we're playing them all the time, be it as a parent, a teacher, a cook, a cleaner, a counsellor. And the first thing we need to do is break it down. And breaking it down means looking at definitions of what it means. So you can work out what's important and what's not. What is necessary as part of the role and what is not so necessary. The thing is, as parents, you're really good at setting yourself high expectations. And we know that having high expectations is important because it pushes you to do your best and be your best, and therefore create that for your child. But we've also got to be realistic about trying to achieve perfection in all the roles you play all the time. Because we know that there's ebb and flow and give and take in different roles, and not everything can operate at 100% all the time every day. There are ups and downs to everything. The thing is, when we talk about roles and breaking them down, we talk about, well, what do they entail and what do they mean? We know what it means to be a parent. To look after your child physically, socially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and to guide them through their journey of life. But the thing is, when we look at being a teacher, they have a teacher. Someone who explains the task, explains learning, who breaks it down for them, who talks to them, who touches base with them weekly, maybe every 2 days. So your role is not to become their teacher. It is to support them in their learning where and when they need it. And the thing is, as parents, you so easily take on these different roles because of course you want the best for your children, but you've got to remember where the line is. So again, when we define, it's going, well, you're not their teacher, you're their support mechanism. If they need some guidance, you're there for them. Because if you take on the responsibility to be everything to them all the time, well, you're setting yourself up to feel that parenting guilt because you can't be everything to everyone all the time. There's ups and downs, there's gives and takes, there's breaks that are needed. So how do we manage that? How do we balance all these roles while staying true to who you want to be as a parent? And so the first one is about prioritizing and working out what is necessary. You know, as a parent, there's so many things on the to-do list, and it's these things on your to-do list that you measure yourself by. I'm a good parent because I can tick everything off this to-do list, but the reality is, to your children, they don't care if you tick off everything off the to-do list. What they care about is that you've connected with them and you've spent quality time with them. I know in the classroom, there were so many days where I had a to-do list as long as my arm. And I would work and work to tick everything off that list because I thought I'd feel a sense of accomplishment. But the reality is, I'd go home at night and I'd realize that actually I hadn't achieved what I wanted to. Because my main role in being a teacher was to connect to my students. And I didn't do that because I was so busy focusing on this to-do list that actually I forgot what my priority was. And it's so easy to do, isn't it? To just get stuck on this to-do list and to tick things off and feel this sense of accomplishment. But does it really fulfill us? So when we're talking about balancing roles and alleviating some of that parenting guilt, what we need to do is to prioritize. What is necessary for the day? What can wait till tomorrow? Think about how you balance those roles because you can't be on all the time. During the day, there are different levels of focus given to each of the different roles, and together that makes 100% of your effort and your time. So you've got to work out in any given day, where do you want to be balancing your effort and your time? Because you can't give 100% to every single one of those roles because there's ebb and flow and give and take. And because if we're working through all the different roles and all the different jobs, everything has a time, everything has a place, everything has a percentage that it takes up of our mind and our physical action. So work out what that is. And the other thing is, you'll feel all this worry of, am I doing enough? Am I there enough? Do I need to do more? But the best thing to do is just take a step back and actually ask yourself, what are the needs of my children? And am I fulfilling those needs? Because what you'll realize is majority of the time you are actually fulfilling the needs of your children. But you've set these expectations and these standards on yourself to have to achieve this level of perfection that in fact you don't stop and go, actually, I am giving them everything they need. You're constantly doubting yourself and thinking, I need to give more and more and more and more. But where's the balance? And see, when we talk about balancing roles and we talk about trying to alleviate some of that parenting guilt, it also comes when you're looking after yourself. See, our children don't care whether we tick off our to-do lists. Your children are not sitting there and going, well done, mum, well done, dad, you ticked off your to-do list. You're a great parent. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for love and care. And what makes you a good parent for them is because you're loving and you're caring. And part of being loving and caring comes from loving and caring for yourself and taking that time out to look after yourself. Because when you fill your bucket, what you'll find is balancing roles is much easier. But if you're giving everything of yourself all the time to all the roles at the same level, you're also draining yourself. And what you need to see is you can be a good parent by balancing roles. You don't have to be switched on and 100% all the time. That is not reality, nor is that a reality you want your children to believe. So take a step back. Think about what the role is. What's your definition of the role? Think about, are your children's needs being met? And if they are, acknowledge that. Acknowledge the small wins that you've had along the way. By balancing the roles, what will happen is that your children also start to know the roles. There become these boundaries set between you and your children so they have the space to work and grow in a safe environment. They have the chance to learn and take some risks and try new things on their own. But also you have the space to focus on yourself, to take that 20 minutes out in a day and just spend time drinking your coffee, reflecting, thinking about whether you're meeting your needs and the needs of your children. Because balance comes when you reflect on what the needs of the situation are for yourself and your children. And when you start to realize that not everything needs 100% all the time. There's give and take and ebb and flow. So today, take a step back. Acknowledge that you have catered to your child's needs. See which roles you want to spend more time on and which ones you want to spend less time on. And find that balance. What you might even find is there are less arguments happening in the house the minute you realize that you are not the teacher, you are just there to support them and guide them through their learning when they need it. Don't be afraid to take a step back and look after yourself. Engage in a self-care activity. What you'll find is it'll make a difference to how you start to manage and balance the roles. And yes, it'll even start to alleviate some of that parenting guilt.